In February 2023, volunteers were called to a dog who was alone at home while her owner was in hospital. The neighbours had realised the situation and thankfully thought to use their emergency key to get in. She was found hiding in a den that she'd made where she'd taken her owner's things for comfort and she didn't want to be touched. Her neighbours realised they needed professional help to care for her and called one of Spirit of the Dog Rescue's team members. She only really wanted her owner, but that wasn't possible. She desperately needed help, so we set about earning enough trust to get a better look at her. You might wonder why we didn't take her to foster straight away. Her owner didn't want for her to be taken anywhere because they expected to return home soon, so volunteers and neighbours started to come in 4 times a day to work with her instead. In time, she got to know some other dogs at a distance just in case she did need to go to foster. We took things one day at a time, waiting for news about when her owner would return. We learnt that her owner was a dog lover who was once a groomer, but their age and ill health made it impossible for them to maintain her coat in recent times. We could see that a severe flea infestation had developed, but we needed consent to treat her. Her owner wasn't well enough to contact us personally by this time, but thankfully extended family got in touch and gave permission for us to begin, as long as she stayed at home for the process. We did her first flea shampoo bath at home at her owner's request, and we removed as many parasites as we could. Ideally, we wanted to take her to foster to complete her treatment, as we didn't have permission to fumigate the house and we didn't want the fleas to come back. Weeks had passed with no news of her owner's discharge date from hospital, so her volunteers and her neighbours assisted with trying to get the consent to get her to foster. From not wanting to be touched at all, she began to want affection from volunteers, and we found that her nails were growing round into the bottom of her back feet and crossing over at the front, impeding her movement. We then got consent to remove her from the house, and she was taken to foster with her behaviourist Lucy. The next stage was for her to meet one of her grooming team, Molly from the Dog Salon in Burnham Crouch. The situation was worse than anyone could have imagined, and when the water went over her back, the blood from the flea bites just poured off of her. It was clear that we really needed to get her shaved as soon as possible.
It's Jen from Spirit of the Dog. Do we have your consent to shave her, please? Great, thank you.
With her stress levels in mind, we decided to just clip her back end on this particular day, and that's where the fleas were actually nesting. We decided it was in her best interest to let her decompress for a couple of days after this, before coming back with our other groomer, Lisa, to finish the job.
Now this is where the fleas were mainly living.
So here we are back again a few days later with her groomer Lisa from Groomer on the Crouch. At this point she was staying in a quarantine area within her foster home away from the other dogs while we dealt with all these fleas. But slowly, thanks to everyone's help and a lot of determination, we started to win the battle against the fleas. The last bit of consent we desperately wanted was to be able to take her to our local veterinary hospital for a full checkup. It was something we were struggling to get, but sadly, her owner did pass away in hospital, so she became a Spirit of the Dog Rescue resident and we had full custody over her care. You're now almost up to speed with her story so far. We chose the social media name for her to match her personality. It's Sassy. Sassy is now under treatment at EdgeWood Vets. She's free from fleas and she's now integrated into her foster home. When you see posts about Sassy, please share them. She's now looking for her second forever home.